Hello, this is Father Bill Watson, and this is another question for our YouTube channel, Ask Father Bill. And today's question is, what was the first sin you knowingly committed? Well, I guess it's easier to talk about the first sin you committed since it's not likely to be wildly evil or embarrassing. But before I tell you the first sin, there was another one that I committed that I realized only later that it was wrong. And I had a neighborhood friend, Paul, who was a year older than me. He had just done confession and first communion, and we were in the local grocery store. And he said, if you steal that Pez candy dispenser, I will go to confession for us. I thought that was a pretty good deal. I had a sense there was something not right about it. It was kind of like too good to be true, but I wasn't aware at the time. So, anyway, I don't consider that my first sin. The first sin was disobeying a directive by both of my parents. And Paul also played a role in this one. There was an old vacant house on our block that my parents had ordered me never to enter. For some years, I happily obliged, and I didn't even have a desire to go in, and I must have passed the house 100 times. One day, my neighborhood friend Paul said a group of the neighbor kids are going into the house and asked if I wanted to come. And I shook my head no. And Paul said, why are you afraid, sissy? Well, that steeled me, and I said I would go. Never having a desire in my past, suddenly my curiosity was burning to know what was inside the house. Money in the walls, a body in the attic, could be anything. Along with the burning curiosity was an electric excitement that, looking back, had an underlying layer of intense fear and anxiety. It was the anxiety and fear where I knew I was doing something wrong. But the excitement and curiosity overwhelmed the fear and the anxiety, shut it off. And so I went in, and this is the first sin I knowingly committed. I think it is the template of all sins people commit. There is a dictate of conscience or a knowing command to do or not do something. That interior dictate is followed until one day an option is presented, like the angel and the devil on the two shoulders. There was a time I peacefully and happily obeyed. Being challenged, I disobeyed and was struck with a hunger and a lust to know. Would going in be bad as I had been told, or would something amazing be discovered? Remember in Genesis when the serpent says, surely you won't die. And then the woman sees the fruit and is drawn to it when she never had been in the past. The only way to find out if you will or will not die is to experiment. Theologically, the three movements of my sin, as well as Eve's and everybody's, I think, are disobedience in spirit, followed by an excitement or lust to discover, and finally taking what does not belong to one. One can see the outlines of obedience, chastity, and poverty in these three movements. Take a look at the patterns of sin in your own life and see if you can discern these three movements. The pattern is, as they say, as old as sin. And I hope that helps.